Exactly 1 month to the Bayelsa governorship election, and the APC may have to fill in another candidate if the decision of the Federal High Court in Abuja disqualifying Sylva from contesting the November 11 election stands. And thanks for joining us on the program, everyone. We're keeping tabs on events and happenings in the polity. I am Nifemi Ogunto. You can join the conversation right now on X, formerly Twitter, using the hashtag Beyond 100 Days. Remember to tag at TVC News NG. The All Progressives Congress has announced its plans to challenge the disqualification of its candidate, Sylva, in the November 11 Bayelsa State governorship election. The Director, Media and Publicity for APC Bayelsa Governorship Campaign Council, Perry Tukui, disclosed that the party has briefed its lawyers to appeal the judgment, and it's confident the Court of Appeal will overturn the judgment of the Federal High Court. Mr. Tukui said the suit that led to the APC candidate's disqualification was filed by a non-member of the party who didn't contest the party's governorship primaries. Justice Donatus Okorowo ruled that Mr. Sylva, having been sworn in twice and ruled for 5 years as governor of the state, would breach the 1999 Constitution as amended if allowed to contest again. The judge also declared that Mr. Sylva was not qualified to run in the November poll because if he wins and is sworn in, he would spend more than 8 years in office as governor of the state. Legal practitioner Libros Oshoma joins me now to help understand the position of the law on this matter. Thanks for joining us on the program. The Supreme Court judgment of January 2012 that removed 5 governors, including Sylva of Bayelsa State, comes to mind on this matter. So the Apex Court had ruled in favor of INEC's position that the 4-year tenure of the governors commenced on May 29, 2007, when they were first sworn in. And the fact that their elections were nullified did not render the oaths they took at that time null and void. How much of a precedent is this for the current Bayelsa situation?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I think this is the court of first instance, and so for a matter like this, there are so many issues to be considered. First and foremost, on appeal, I know the issue of local standing will also be considered as provided for in Section 29, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act. That will be considered also. The issue of the Section 180 and 182 that you cited, all of these would, 181, sorry, will be called into question at the Court of Appeal. But I would expect that the Court of Appeal, in deciding this matter, should not just look at the issue of local standing, but should also give the country the opportunity of having a peep into the mind of the court as regards, this oath of office, tenure, and oath of allegiance, tenure, and all of those things. So, because we say the law is what the court says it is. So, like you asked, the question now would be, you took oath of office in 2007, and that election was nullified sometimes in January 2008. And subsequently, another election was conducted. And so, ordinarily, for the layman, you will say that oath of office was nullified the moment that election was nullified. And so, that election also cannot begin to count. But mind you, the Constitution was subsequently amended that to correct that defect, that in a situation where the person, the holder of that office, wins a re-election, initial tenure that he occupied the office would be counted in calculating the time he has occupied that office. That was why I think was it Ladoja. So there was one other governor, I think Cross River State, Lee Emoke had similar problems, and so that was why Lee Emoke's tenure ended with when he's with, I think in 2011 or so, 2015. Yes, 2015, because some of them had argued that the oath of office that they took subsequently, should start to count, and that the court should discountenance the initial oath of office that they took. But the Constitution was amended, and that initial oath of office that they took was also added subsequently in counting the number of years, so that they don't stay beyond the prescribed number of years, which is 4 years as prescribed by the Constitution. But the quagmire here now is that a situation where somebody had been in that office and was subsequently ousted by the Supreme Court in 2012, and then now you're saying that we need an interpretation into it. It is not for me to sit down here and say that this is the way the court will go, or
I hear you. The way it is now, Mr. Sylva has already spent close to 5 years in office in his first term. If he gets another 4 years, the judge here is saying that he would have done more than the 8 years required by the Constitution. But what happens if the APC candidate is ultimately disqualified? Will there still be room under law for the party to provide a replacement?
I think the APC in this election has a lot in their hands coming. If the APC's candidates eventually disqualify, I think, I doubt, because the time for substitution of candidate has passed. And also, I think this is not, I also am aware that they have another matter, in court on the qualification of Sylva's running mate. How that will also pan out, we'll wait to see. If eventually the APC is disqualified by the court, the time for substitution of candidates, had long passed, and so there would be no room for substitution. So what happened previously might just happen that the APC does not have a candidate in Bayelsa. So that's basically what we are looking. But unfortunately, like I said, the issue of a local standing might also come up as because Section 29(5) talks about candidates who participated in the primaries. I don't know if the claimant in this matter participated in the primaries. If he didn't, then that will be a strong issue for them to canvass. And then there are also questions of practice direction, and coupled with the fact that when was the suit filed? If the suit was filed within time, because the law also prescribed a time for filing a pre-election matter, I think 14 days after the list of INEC had released the list. And I know that this list was released sometimes in May or so, and then the action was filed around June. And all of these are things that the court subsequently considered. But,
interesting days.
But the other case, quickly, the other case that I also am aware that they have, which borders on the fact that on non-qualification of the running mates of Sylva, and that's what the court is here to take a bite on that, and so we see how that would pan out in the coming days.
Interesting days ahead of the APC. The party lost the election the last time in court. Time will tell whether the lightning will be striking a second time in the same place. Libros Oshoma, thank you for talking to us.
My pleasure.
Now to our other conversation this evening, let's talk about women inclusion in President Tinubu's administration. The president, during his inaugural speech, promised to feature women and youth prominently in his administration. He raised the hopes of Nigerian women during his campaign, as he promised to work with the National Assembly to pass a law to increase women's position in government by 35% if elected. The big question is, has Mr. President fulfilled this promise? Joining me live from our Abuja studio is Honorable Commissioner representing Enugu State at the Federal Character Commission, Geneka Torp. Thank you for joining us on the program, Princess.
Thank you, too.
All right, so let's begin with how inclusive Mr. President's administration has been for women, because that's part of the optimism you shared with me the last time we spoke on Inauguration Day. The president did promise during his campaign to push for legislation to increase women's participation in government to at least 35%. According to your party's campaign document, the legislation will mandate the federal executive to reserve a minimum number of senior positions for women. But with the composition that we have in Mr. President's cabinet, that figure may be around 19% thereabout. Are you in any way disappointed?
Well, I will say I'm disappointed. I've been on this issue of women inclusion for a long time, and I may want to digress a bit. If we have 19% from the president, you can be rest assured that we'll still get 35%. Because I'm still bold to say that this is a president that has, he has a record of women inclusion. But I think he's settling the part of the youth now. And I know we still have a lot of opportunities there for women coming on board. For Southeast, I think we have 70% already. So for him to have done that to women in the Southeast, you can be rest assured that he's going to touch with the forthcoming positions, appointments that are coming on board. He will definitely look into that part. But I want to say thumbs up to the youth. You have been given what you want. You cannot speak about the women without talking about the youth. So you've been settled. Now, women are also coming in large number. Still, I'm bold to say that the president that I supported through Igbokwenu Fashiwaju Shetima is still going to look into the women, and he's still going to do what he's known for, So I'm rest assured that I can tell you I'm not afraid. He's still going to do that. He has done it in the Southeast. He's still going to do more in other parts of this country.
The closest we've had to the 35% affirmative action for women was when Goodluck Jonathan achieved, I think, 31% representation in 2011. Is that something you think this administration can match in 4 years?
I said before, I have no doubt that he's going to do all that is needful when it comes to women. There's no fear about that. Even you look at the ministers, at least we have strong women there. The only thing why I said I'm going to digress a bit is not just women inclusion, but women with competency. We should look into that part. We want those, even if we're 19%, I will have strong 19% that are competent, that do the needful, that carry other women along. Then we shouldn't leave the job for only the president. So it's not all about president, 35%. Before we can get that, we, the women, need to affirm ourselves. So if you have 19%, then we're good to go. More will definitely come, so I have no fear. He's going to do it.
You are Edogo's commissioner and the Federal Character Commission. I've had a couple of Ohanese Indigo executives on the program, and they have complained that the region is still largely sidelined with the appointments of only 5 ministers from the Southeast. They describe that as unfair and unjust. Do you share the same concern?
Well, for me, prior to the emergence of our president, I spoke for Igbos, yes. But I think certain things that happen right now is just a message to the Igbos. We need to begin to learn how to play this politics. You can't put your eggs in one basket, and when the basket fails to hold the eggs, you start complaining. We have 5. Those 5 should do what is needed. They should carry each other along first. For me, I know people may think I don't speak straight. No, I do. The president is still in the right direction. It's a way to tell the Igbos, when next we are playing politics, you don't just put everything in one place. Try to balance it such that you know that this is politics and you need something for yourself. So for me, we've gotten the 5. It's not over yet. Other appointments are coming. But we should learn to do the right thing. You can't, work in zone A and be paid in zone B. Well, nevertheless, that will not fail to still remind our president that he remains the unifier that we know. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his beautiful wife and amazing mother of all. We definitely see still the Igbos come on board because we will still work together as one. So however it is for me, I think it's too early to begin to agitate. Let's calm down. Let's negotiate. Let's dialogue. Let's remind our president that this is going to still remain an indivisible nation, Nigeria, and we need to command national loyalty. So at some extent, it can be equal, but equitable somehow. We should have that balance so that we have everyone smiling, just a bite of the apple for everyone. But for the Igbos, there's no need to complain. No. at that point when it was happening, when we spoke, we need to look at the right time to begin to fight for something. It will get to us, but it takes just a little time. But for now, our president, Igbos will still feel your vibes. I believe so. So many things are still coming on board. So I don't think it's time to agitate. It's too early. We need to support. When you support, you receive. Let's calm down. Many people used to call me, they say, Igbo Kwenu Fatiwaju Shetima, you were the first to come out to speak for the president. Why were you not appointed as a minister? I said, look, I did not come out to support him ab initio because of what it's going to be. I know that I will be compensated and my group will be compensated someday. But let's continue to support, because whoever he has appointed in my state, Enugu State, it's for a reason. And I always respect the decision of the president. This is right.
I hear you.
And so for me, I think
I just
it's
want
not
to
time
find
to
out,
lay
if I can, very
blames,
quickly.
but to rather look for.
Allow me to butt in, Princess. Is how many of APC members from the East share your optimism? Because in August, senators from the Southeast geopolitical zone did call on President Tinubu to appoint at least 2 additional ministers from their region to ensure fairness and justice. And their complaint is that, the Southeast region has the lowest ministerial representation. How are they being pacified, really? How united, within your party are these voices?
Well, for me, I've said it. It depends on how you bring about your submission. It's not by force. It's something we need to calm down, sit down, discuss and negotiate. There's no harm in having our rights. The statutory right has been given to us. The next thing is to request or beg or ask, appeal for this to be done. Not that if we do not, do the needful, then we expect everything or we expect what should be given to us. It depends on how we come about it. Of course, the election issues is sui generis. It's such that, based on its peculiarity. So we should understand that. It's just of its own kind. So when you want to attempt to do something positive around it, you must go the right path. It's not about agitation. It's about negotiation. It's about dialogue. You can see what has happened with the administration and NLC. There's dialogue. And in as much as it's going to be for the common persons, for everyone, then fine. But for me, sincerely, I think everybody, different scholars, they've come out to bring out their own opinion. But I'm also, I'm also subject to my own opinion. For me, I think we have gotten to the stage in Nigeria when we need the results. Whatever it takes this president that we have supported to give us a result in this country, whatever is the result we are looking at. We don't want anybody to say, oh, because we were pushed or we were propelled to do this, so we couldn't achieve this. Whatever it takes the president at this stage that we are in Nigeria to give us the result that we see in him coming, because I still trust that this president will give us what we think. He will lead us to that destination of choice. We should continue to support. Then when we have areas where there are some level of imbalance, it's all about discussion, it's all about negotiation. We talk about it, not agitating. When you decided that this is where you belong and things go the other side, you need to calm down and discuss it. And this president, I think, is one president that has the listening ear. He has been listening, and he has best persons around him to lead him aright.
All right. I understand the politics of election that you made reference to earlier, the fact that you don't reap where you did not sow. But there are some who also hold the opinion that this administration has a huge opportunity to unite the nation better. And perhaps it's also your party's opportunity to pacify the Southeast and reach out more in that region. Do you subscribe to that school of thought?
To that, we're saying the same thing. Like I just said before, I said even when we're campaigning for the president, we said that he's a unifier. He remains a unifier. Sometimes somebody can do something and want to watch your reaction, And since I thank God the Igbos are not really, because I've been all out speaking to the Igbos, it's not a time to fight. It's a time to negotiate. And I can tell you, the appointments are still coming, and the Igbos will be remembered. At least we can attest to the fact that some areas are also being covered. Like we have the Chief of Naval Staff. It's from Enugu State. It has never happened for some time. So it's a thing to also thank God for. And we should learn to thank one for one before we receive another. So for now, we should just keep supporting. You know, keep showing up and keep supporting. This is a president that God has given this position. And all we need is to support him. We don't need anything. He's saddled with so much responsibilities. And all our own part is to give him his support and not